Yeah, it was all right. It was pretty neat though to see a company was, I don't know, they're about a $6 million shop, I think is what they did last year, and they were pacing like 230 grand when I got there. And by the time I'm leaving, they're pacing 638. It's amazing how you can change the momentum and installs in just a few days. It's just truly amazing. So, hey, we always have a job, Jim.
Right, right.
Uh, what's funny is I told him, I said, there's no such thing as overdrive, and that's what you've done here in this business, and I said, well, I'm going to take over for the next few days and show you the way the huddle goes and the way it works. And but it's pretty neat. And oh, the other thing was, do you know, like obviously members have issues selling half systems and that you hear it all the time. Well, my area, I
Yeah,
said, don't give me that crap. And so 75% of their jobs were half systems, right? So,
yeah.
and they couldn't control it. And I said, watch this neat trick. I took their price book and ripped the half systems out. I said, I said, magically, now when they do a half system, they're going to have to call you to get a price. And then what you're going to do is say, show me a picture of the other side that it's new, and I'll give you the price. And
Hmm.
so they did, it took a while for them to understand this, but like they did two half systems on, I'm sorry, two full systems on Wednesday, ended up doing three yesterday. I said, that's damn almost how many you did for the month. But all right, so we don't waste time. So,
Yep.
Mark, who you have
Take
on the
over.
phone? Who you have on the phone?
Chris Jekyll, I'm the acting sales manager.
Beautiful.
Uh, I'm here, Scott. This is Cameron. I've been on the phone with you before. I'm the controller here.
Sweet. All right, and so how's the process going since y'all been rolling it out? I mean, y'all feel good with the internal process?
The As far as the technician side,
Okay.
yes. I mean, we're not to your numbers yet. We got one guy at about 50% on his plus tens, and we got another guy at about in mid 40s, and then we got a guy down at 35%. We took one guy out already. He
Okay.
self-eliminated.
All right.
So
Just remember when
we
those.
still have work to do.
Yeah. Well, just that's a call business. So just remember you want to talk with them after every call. Before they go to the next one, just so we clear their head and we get them, on the right path. All right. So they're getting momentum. They're doing that. Now, what about the comfort advisors? Obviously, you wanted this call. So what are they closing at?
Currently, well, Mark, you're at what, 40? You're mid 40s? 40. Mark's at 43%. Matt's
Okay.
50. If you took a longer date range, you'd be around 50%. Yep.
And that's on tech leads?
And Les is at about 40%. So we're not to your 80% numbers, but we're not getting them all run on the first day either. So
Yeah. Well, I want
where
you
we
to
make
average 60. I want you to average 66% because you're not going to get them all on the first day. And if you get them ran within 2 days, right, then we know you should average 66. So that's what we want to do. Um, so what are the hurdles y'all are seeing as comfort advisors? What do you feel your hurdles are?
Well, personally, I think my number one hurdle, obviously, I think is confidence price is a big one,
Okay.
um, and I would think that would be number one
Okay.
for me.
So you say price. Okay. And
Hmm.
um, I mean, are we? And what's the weather like there right now, Mark? Is it cold? I mean, do you have
yeah,
calls?
it's 9 degrees today.
Yeah, I'd say that's cold. All right. All right. So let me go ahead and tell you something. When you have a tech generated lead, first of all, when the lead comes from the tech, right? If it is price, well, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that is 100% you as the comfort advisor, or your tech is prepping them on price because you truly control that value when the tech generates a lead, meaning that they don't have any other quotes on the majority of them. Would you agree that the majority of your tech leads, if they don't have another quote on?
For the most part, yeah. If they're a regular customer, yes, for sure.
Okay. So then, and I'm going to go and tell you, there's in in-home sales, and believe me, I know a little bit about it. There's no difference between $8,000 and $10,000. So I will tell you this, the number one reason I see comfort advisors not selling at the correct price or, or even closing at the correct amount is between what's in their own ears, their own head. Whether they think there's no urgency or they think they can't do it. But like Mark, are some of these leads that these texts generating, are some of them not broken?
There's a lot of them aren't broke. Yep.
Okay, cool. I'm going to tell you, those are your best leads. When you figure it out as a comfort advisor, you don't want them broken. And you might think this is silly, but let me walk you through something real quick. So, Cameron, can I use you as an example?
Yep.
All right. So if you were in the market today and you were going to purchase some, let's say you were going to buy a boat, like a BOAT, and I threw up and said, look, I'm going to give you a calendar, January through December. When do you personally feel it would be best time for you to purchase that boat? Do you think it would be, June, July, August, September? What'd you say?
January, February.
Okay, and why do you think that would be?
That's going to be cheaper in the off season.
Okay, so beautiful answer. Couldn't say it any better myself. Right? Beautiful answer. So now, with that being said, our customers are no different, right? And when you learn to sell for off season, I know right now it's cold, but I'm still working on your head here. Right now it's cold, right? But do you ever hear? So Mark, do you ever hear this in the spring and fall? The comfort advisors say they can't sell it.
Yeah, you would have caught me saying that here a couple months ago.
Yeah. Why in the hell would you say that? Meaning, wouldn't you think of it like this? The average consumer, right? Here's what's weird. Let's pull you out of this business. Meaning, I used to go to the mall and set up a damn kiosk just to survey people that were not in this business. And if you ask 100 homeowners, when is the best time to buy a heat and air system? Damn 90-something% of them are going to tell you in the spring or fall. And yet we as comfort advisors go, oh, they'll never buy in the spring and fall. And so you just said it, or Cameron just said it, that they buy, he would buy it off season. Well, there's no different in our heat and air. So yeah, we think there's no urgency. Well, that's the best time to buy. You do have to change a little bit of your sales presentation, the way you do it, because you have to start selling for that. So, and I know this ain't about the spring and fall. This is about today, right? But I will tell you this, 100% of customers have a breaking point. I don't care, as long as they feel they need that product. So y'all are familiar with the wheel. I say that. Are y'all familiar with the wheel and the service system?
No.
Okay. Mark, are you familiar with it? Like service system, you got the 5 things in the wheel. You have you, the company, solution, price, and time.
Vaguely.
Okay, I'm going to go and just pull up my screen. I'm going to show you something then real quick. Let me know when you can see it pop up, and I'll have to, it's just going to pop up blue until I find it. So let me find something real here. All right. I'm going to show you what the wheel looks like. All right, can you see my screen?
Nextar's stuff. They use Caceres.
Okay, that's fine. Just to let you know, I'm better in Casera, by the way, but it's okay. All right, so if you look at this screen here, I'm going to tell you every single person that buys something, right, has objections. And if you get all 5 of these things, objections on this wheel handled, you'll get a sale. Okay? So your customer, obviously, you'll agree that there's they want to make sure that they're buying from the right person, the right company, the right solution. Is this best for them, right? It has to be at the right time for them, and then the right price, right? So if you miss one of these items, one of them, well, guess what's going to happen? You're not going to get it. I say the only way you'll get it if you miss one of these, if urgency takes over. To give an example, and it doesn't matter if it's heat and cooling or not. Let's say, Mark, I show up at your house and you got water leaking through your ceiling, and I'm there as a plumber. If you got water pouring through your ceiling, you really don't give a damn if I'm the right person. You don't really care if it's the right price. Same thing, if it's 10 degrees inside your house and your furnace is out, you probably don't even care if I'm the right person, because the urgency at that point is so high, you can miss some steps. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. So with that being said, but you gotta really validate all these correct. So here's the way a sale happens: is you do sell yourself first, right? You validate and you do some selling of the company. You come up with the solution for the customer, whether it's replace the system or not. Well, if and then the event you give them the price, and that's where the objection comes up. And the key to this is to understand there's emotional responses, there's objections, and there's lies. There's all three of those, okay? And so what happens is you have to determine which one is it. And I'm going to tell you, the majority of the time it's going to be an emotional response. And so Mark, I'll ask you a question. Did you go to school?
Yes.
In school, did your teacher say, Mark, one day one day a company is going to give you a price, and when they give you this price, I want you to throw your hands up in the air and say, whoa, I can't make the decision today. So were you taught that in school?
No.
Okay. So that means when that happens, that's emotional response, meaning that customer's now forced to make a decision. You've heard of fight or flight, right? They're backed into a corner. They got to make a decision. And then what happens is they just say whatever the hell comes out. And it might be, I have to talk to my husband. It might be, I have to think about it. It could be, this is too much money. It could be any of those, right? And it doesn't mean that they mean it. So we have to truly understand, is this an emotional response? Is it an actual, I mean, if it could be a true objection, right? It could be a lie. It could be anything. So we have to determine how to do it. So years ago when this will was first written, right, I've got a script that goes with the will. And basically it helps you identify what area you missed. So, and again, I mean, I've written 18 closes. I can teach how to close every situation in the world. Doesn't matter. But the issue is I can't teach all those closes to individuals, meaning that it would take years and years and years and years. So instead, I said, look, I'm just going to create this, what you see here, and come up with a script for it that helps you try to walk through it. So let me give an example. What's some objections y'all get in the field right now?
Well, I would say I've got to talk it over with my husband or wife.
Okay. So now let's jump back to that school conversation. Now I will tell you this, they didn't teach us that in school. So initially, that's not a learned behavior. But I think you'll also agree that there are some people that maybe purchase something in life without their spouse's approval, and they get the shit beat out of them. And so therefore, now that is a learned behavior for some people. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
So I'm going to tell you on that objection, there's a percentage, let's just say it's 30%, if I had to guess, that truly got to speak to their spouse. And I'm going to tell you about 70 to 75 does not. But the worst thing you can do in that situation is treat that as an objection initially. Because if it is an emotional response, you'll lose the sale. Let me walk you through what most people do. Most salespeople, or I don't care what they do, most in-home salespeople will do this. They'll say, well, I got to speak to my wife. Most people will say, well, can you get her on the phone? Or something similar to that. And then if that's truly not an objection, here's what happens. No, I can't, man. She's the busiest librarian in the world. She can never be bothered. You ever heard them say some stupid crap like that? Right? So that would be what they would tell you if it was an emotional response. Because what happens if it was an emotional response and they didn't mean it, and you validated it, well, now they have to tell a little fib to get out of it. You've heard one lie leads to another lie leads to another lie, right? So they didn't really mean to lie to you. They didn't know what to say. They go, oh, I got to speak to my spouse or wife or whatever. You validated it. Now they got to keep telling little white lies. So this is why, we don't treat it as an objection. Now, here's what happens if it truly is an objection. So say 25% of the people, if you go, Well, can you get her on the phone? And if it's a true objection, that means they do have to speak to their spouse. They go, yeah, let me call her. And here's the way that call goes. Hey, honey, I'm out here with the guy. He's giving a price of $10,000. What do you want to do? Okay. Hey, she says we're going to wait. And you just blew it because you didn't know how to close it. And then basically you lost control of the call. Has that ever happened to anybody on the phone?
Yeah, but I'm sure it will.
Okay. Well, let's hope it doesn't, because then we blew it. So here's what I want you to do. I'm going to teach you something real quick, and I am recording this. I want you to understand, no matter what the first objection comes up, as long as it's not yes, let's move forward with the job, right? I want you to treat it 100% as an emotional response. I mean, treat it as the customer didn't say that. And so when that happens, you have to learn to acknowledge, you empathize, and you bypass through it. Here's what this would look like. She says, you know what, Scott, this sounds good, man, but I got to speak to my wife, okay? I want you to acknowledge, empathize, and bypass through it. Here's what that looks like. You're going to say, well, I can understand that. I would feel the same way if I were in your shoes. You know, Mark, just suppose you did speak to your wife and she says it's totally your decision. Which one of these do you think you'd go with? So if it's an emotional response and it wasn't an objection, so here's what I've done. I've acknowledged and say it's okay to feel that way, right? I empathize with him. When I bypassed through it, I said, just suppose you spoke to your wife, Mark, and she says it's totally your decision. Which one do you think you'd go with? And if it truly is an emotional response, they're going to go, well, I'd probably go ahead and go with this one. And they'll actually just move forward with the project and not even speaking with their damn wife. Now, if it is a true objection, they're going to say something like this. Well, I would go with this one, but I still got to speak to my wife. Okay, well, cool. So now at this point, you're going to close some just by learning to acknowledge, empathize, and bypass right through it, right? So I'll give an example. I've only ran 2 calls in the last year with comfort advisors, and I rode one with a guy named Scott Davis. I presented the options. The lady's lying on the couch. The man's in the chair, and the other comfort advisor was over on a different chair. And I presented the options to him. And now, just to let you know, he had a for sale sign in the front yard. And the options I gave was it was $8,000 and $6,500. He told me he was a cash buyer. So my initial close was called the choice assumption close, which is actually the strongest initial close you can do. But I said, so obviously we know you're going to go with the condenser and the pump and the crawl space, right? I said, that's $6,500. And it comes with a 5-year warranty. So the option number 2 you have here is it's basically $8,000. It's the same system, the same pump. The only difference, it comes with a 10-year warranty. So I want to ask you, is it worth the extra $1,500 to get the extra 5-year security? This man throws his hands in the air and goes, whoa, I'm not going to make the decision today. So again, if I asked everybody on the phone, or, I say phone, what would you say to that? He throws his hands in the air and says, whoa, I'm not going to make the decision today. How do you handle that today?
I understand, but well, what would you do if you were going to make the decision today?
Okay, so that's trying to acknowledge and empathize. Yeah, most people say this, when are you going to make the decision? And now you just killed the damn sale. You've turned his emotional response into an objection. So in this example, I said, well, I can understand that. I feel the same way if I was in your shoes. Just suppose you made the decision today. Is tomorrow still a good time to put this in for you? So you see, I'm now actually working on this install spot. This man looks at his wife and goes, honey, is tomorrow a good time with you? She said, yeah. I mean, she wasn't going anywhere. She didn't move off the couch the whole time I was there. I said, great. Now that we know we're putting it in tomorrow, is it worth the extra $1,500 to get the extra 5-year security? He goes, no, why would I? I'm selling the house. I said, I agree with you. I do the same thing in your situation. Got him to sign off on it. And we're leaving this call, and this guy named Scott Davis, I mean, I'm 8 feet out in the front yard, right? And Scott said, hey, I said, what? Yeah, what? He goes, what the hell just happened? A man throws his hands in the air, says he's not going to make the decision, and within 15 seconds signs a $6,500 piece of paper. I said, Scott, he didn't mean to say that. He wasn't trained on what to say in this situation, so you can't hear that emotional response, and you sure the hell can't validate it. If you validate it, you'll kill yourself. And his words were, I don't know what you did, but that was some voodoo shit. because literally the guy throws his hands in the air. So first of all, I'll send you something, Mark, but you need to train the guys to acknowledge, empathize, and bypass. Acknowledge, empathize, and bypass on the first objection. That's one key. Okay. Once they learn to do that, if it comes back up, then yes, consider it an objection or a lie. Okay, we got rid of the emotional response. So the next thing you're going to do is I'll send you the script to this wheel. So if it's an objection or a lie, that's okay. I'm okay with either one of them, but you still got to determine which one it is. So here's the way it would look. So Mark, let's say imagine I actually gave you a price on a heat and air system. I don't care. Let's say it's $8,000. Well, first of all, guys, let me tell you something. You have to, in order to close a sale, you have to break it down, or you have to narrow it to one product. You will never close the customer if they're thinking between two. I mean, you can do risk reversal closes and all this, but you have to narrow them to one product. You have to narrow them, are they a cash or payment buyer? If you don't do that, you're basically going to get lucky of the ones that lay down, and all the others you're going to fumble, maybe get some, maybe not. So in this example, Mark, let's say I've narrowed you down to a cash buyer, and let's just say it's $8,000 is my price. Let's say I don't know how to close you, because I don't know what your objection is, and I'm trying to imagine I'm not being me. Let's say I don't know any closes. I don't know how to close you. So I want you to revert back to this wheel and realize something on this wheel is messed up. We've missed something. Okay. So the sale went from literally the person, the company, the solution. You gave a price, and that's when the objection came, because that's when they have to make the decision. So in order to now make the sale, I want you to confirm the first three: the solution, the company, and the person. Here's the way this works. Again, I'm acting like I don't know how to close it, so I'm just going to say I don't know where to go. I want you just to revert to this wheel. And here's the way it would sound. So Mark, if you don't mind, can I ask you another question? You're going to say, yep, that's fine. I'm saying, Mark, well, let me ask you this. Do you truly feel that you need a new system, or do you see another way to fix this problem? And so, guys, on a tech turnover, you have to ask this 100% of the time if you don't know how to close it. Because what's going to happen is a lot of these techs are pushing for these turnovers, and maybe they didn't do a good job, and I've seen this happen before. You run a lead and you can't close it, and you ask that simple question: do you truly feel you need this new system, or do you see another way to fix a problem? And I've seen the homeowners literally go, well, no, I don't need a new system, but the guy that was out here said y'all are running a contest, and if he got a quote, he gets something out of it. Okay, I've heard that. So my point is, you have to validate what you're offering is best for them. Because I will tell you this is the number one reason we don't sell, is the solution. It's not price. Now, they might think it's too much money, but they think it's too much money because they don't feel they need what you're offering, if that makes sense. To give an example, you ever showed up and a guy's dead strung on train. He wants train, and maybe you're selling a different product. Now, I'm not a big fan of obviously quoting brands or selling brands, but if he's dead set on train and you quote American Standard and you don't squash that train brand, he's going to tell you it's too much money. You're going to leave thinking we can't sell at these prices, and all along, all he wants is a damn train. Or you're trying to sell a new system, and all he wants to do is get it fixed. So you better learn to validate, is this the best thing for him? So Mark, in this example, let's say I said, well, do you truly feel you need a new system, or do you see a better way to fix it? And you're going to see on some tech leads, they're going to go, well, no, I don't need a new one. Shit, it's been this way for 10 years, Can't you just fix it? Or maybe there's nothing wrong with it, and the tech just turned it over based on efficiency, So you need to make a note, do what you can to resell it, but make a note that when you leave, whoever turned that over, you got to speak to a service manager, and they need to work on that just a little bit. Okay? But let's say you go, do you truly feel you need it, or do you see another way to fix the problem? And he goes, oh, yeah, hell, I need it. I mean, shit, it's 10 degrees outside. It's freezing here. Yeah, I need one. Okay, mentally put an X over the solution. Okay? Then you're going to say, would you truly feel Burton's can put it in, stand behind it for the 10-year warranty or whatever the warranty is. Now, I will tell you this, the company is only the objection, the company's only the objection about 5% of the time. It's not a lot, but it is enough that you have to ask that question. I was on a call, I was in a doorway because it was 100 degrees inside this guy's house, and I was at $8,200. I couldn't close it. Didn't know what to do. So I said, do you truly feel you need a new system, or you see another way to fix a problem? He goes, that's the dumbest damn question I ever heard. It's 100 degrees in my house. I said, buddy, I'm not Dionne Warwick, Friend Circuit Network. I had to ask you, right? I said, then do you truly feel, at the time that was a location I owned called 1 Hour. It was a 1 Hour Air. I said, do you truly feel 1 Hour Air can put in, stand behind it for a 10-year warranty? He goes, why should I? I said, I don't know. Explain to me why you shouldn't. And we also had a Ben Franklin Plumbing at that same area that, that we ran out of the same buildings and stuff. And so he said, well, hell, y'all put a toilet in for me, and that sumbitch still rocks today. And I made a joke and said, ooh, rocking toilet. Did you pay more for it? He didn't think it was funny, but regardless, he had a toilet that we've set, and it rocked. And so instantly, I have to take care of that problem. If we can't put a toilet in, who the hell thinks we can put a unit in? So I called the office. They sent a guy by. He comes out. He seals the toilet to the floor, tightens it off, puts the caps back on, gets a sponge, and walks out. He's not walked out of the door for 10 seconds. This man looks at me and goes, hey, can y'all put the new unit in tomorrow? And if I didn't ask these questions, now again, that's a very small point of the percentage of the time, but if I didn't ask this question, what would have happened is I would have lost the sale. I would have left and said, damn, our prices are too high. This sucks. Mark expects me to sell at these prices, right? And all along, that's not the price. So if it's not the solution, it doesn't matter if I cut my price in half. If he don't feel that that's the right solution for him, he ain't going to do it. So you got to validate the solution, validate the company. And again, I'm going to send you the scripts on these, but this next portion, this next script is important that it's literally word for word. Because here's what happens. So let's say you said I don't have any reason to feel that Burton's couldn't put it in. Okay, great. I'm going to say, Mark, then it doesn't make sense to me then. If you truly think that whatever the system is I've quoted, whatever it is, right? If you truly feel this is the best, solution for you, or the best system for you, and you truly feel Burton's is a great company that can put in stand behind the warranty, then it doesn't make sense to me then. Mark, is there anything that I've done? Now, what's going to happen? This script I'm giving you, obviously I wrote it for sales when this wheel was designed, but I didn't come up with it. This was a script it was considered a lie detection script that the military made, and here's what it was designed to do. If you went in to interrogate somebody, right, you make friends with them and you build trust and you do all this. Well, what happens is the minute that they think they're losing their friend or the person that trusts them, they'll now tell you the truth. So the way this is designed is, if it doesn't make sense to me then, Mark, if you truly feel this is the best system for you, you truly feel this is the best company to put it in, then you repeat it. It doesn't make sense to me then. Is there anything I've done? If you've built a really good relationship, they're going to go, no, Mark, it's not you. It's just let the truth set you free. They're going to tell you whatever the hell it is. It's going to be, no, Mark, it's not you. I've got another company going to be here in 20 minutes. No, Mark, it's not you. It is the price. No, it's not you. I filed bankruptcy last week. And if you do this correctly, they're going to spit the truth out. Well, I will tell you this, right? The truth is easy to overcome. A lie is not. Meaning, again, if they tell you it's price and it's not, you can't overcome that because it's not price. They will always tell you it's price before they tell you it's you. They'll always tell you it's price before they tell you you're trying to offer them something they don't need. They'll tell you it's price before they'll tell you it's a company. The reason is those are confrontational. So let's say that you stink like cigarettes and they don't like you. What's easier for me to tell you? I don't like you, or it's too much money? Okay?
Much money.
Yeah, and they're going to tell you that. You're going to leave. Oh, I would have sold it if it was less. I'm going to tell you horse crap. price is irrelevant. There's no such thing as too much price, too much money. There's only such thing as low value. Now, and it is harder to build your value when somebody came in before you and ruined it. I will tell you that is harder. But when you're a tech-generated lead company, you control that value. If you could somehow erase time and send 2 different people in, I might walk out with 15 grand. You might walk out with 6,000. And it's all because of the value they received. Let me tell you, the value they received, right, doesn't come from the unit, doesn't come from the system. If you're truly in sales, you have to realize, where does the value come from? So let me tell you a story real quick, and then where the value comes from. And then what I'm going to do is show you how to close it, no matter what objection they give you. I don't care, but so imagine this. My wife can't see for crap. She's literally almost blind. Her contacts are like really thick, and a matter of fact, she's going right today. She just left. I saw her at the security system pulling out. She's going to go get her eyes checked. I don't know. Got to get new contacts again. But she wanted to go get LASIK surgery. And I said, go ahead and get you 2 quotes. So she comes back with 2 quotes. And this was a while back. She puts them on the table, the kitchen table, and says, look at them. One's $1,800 and one's $3,600. Well, shit, that was easy for me to make a decision. I said, I got my decision. She goes, hold on, I want to go with this one. I said, whoa. Logically explain to me why you would pick 3,600 over 1,800. And I said, hold on, before you do, let me look at them. So I look at the 2 estimates. Just to let you know, one of them was Ming Wang. He invented LASIK surgery. So the guy who invented it, who pushes them through like cattle, right? It was $1,800. The other one was Dr. Loden, $3,600. And she said, Tracy knows him. And I said, well, really? So I called Tracy, and that's her sister. And she said, oh, yes, Scott, he's been out of school 3 years. He's good at what he does. So how would it make you feel? Mark, how long have you been in business?
Almost 30 years.
So how would it make you feel knowing that let's say one of your guys went out there and left a price of $6 grand, and then I came in after the fact, and they decided to go with me for $12,000 versus you for 6. And what if I was only in business 2 years? How would that make you feel?
I'd be pissed.
Yeah, but it happens every day, Mark. I'm telling you, it does. Okay? So this is why we have to understand, well, where does value really come from? And so in this example, I told my wife, I said, you logically tell me why you would pick the guy that's been doing it for 3 years versus the guy that invented it. And the guy's been doing 3 years, just twice the amount. I got a piece of paper, and I said, ready, go. Tell me the reasons. And she goes, well, first of all, he was nice. I said, okay, he was nice. All right, that's not worth $1,800. Keep going. She goes, he took notes. I said, oh, he took notes. So you tell me he listened to you. She goes, oh, yeah, he really listened. He repeated me a lot, and he took notes, what I wrote down. Matter of fact, he listened to me more than you've ever listened to me. I said, okay, cool. What else? She goes, I don't know. I said, well, hold on. What's the procedure? She goes, what do you mean? I said, what's the difference between the 2? She goes, I don't know what either one of them do. I said, what's the warranty? She goes, shit, I don't know. I said, well, what's the equipment like? What do they use? I don't know. I said, you've given me 2 things. Give me something else. She goes, well, he called Chase by his first name. And I said, are you kidding me? He called my son by his first name. That's not $1,800. And I said, what else? She goes, he gave Chase a sucker. And I said, I have 4 things written on my piece of paper. And I said, Elisa, I know why you picked him, and I'm okay with why you picked him. You need to know why you picked him. I said, you basically love the experience there versus the other experience. And she says, well, yeah, I felt great when I walked out that place. I felt I owed them money for the trip. So let me tell you where value comes from. The number one objective as a comfort advisor, your number one objective, right, is to make that customer's time with you more valuable than anywhere else in the world. That is your number one objective. And when you truly make that your objective, right, And we don't have a lot of time today, but I'm going to go over a little bit of how you do it, and we're going to get to closing the call. But so that's my number one objective, to make the customer's time more valuable with me than anywhere else in the world. My number two objective is to get them to diagnose, or basically tell me what's wrong or what the best option is for them. Because the number one reason they don't buy from you, they don't feel what you're offering is best for them. All right. The number one reason that they have a value complaint is because you didn't give them the experience. When you learn how to do both of those, value now is gone. And when they actually diagnose, or basically believe in the solution 100%, at this point, it will become all about, the experience and everything. I mean, at this point, you don't have to close crap. It will close itself. Okay. So number one objective is make the time more valuable with you than anywhere else in the world. Number two is to either get them to diagnose or tell you what the solution is, or tell you what the best offer is, meaning whatever the system is. Let them pick it. That's why you got to have a good survey that lets them feel like they're help designing it. Does all that make sense so far?
Yes. Yep.
All right. So how do you get them to their time more valuable with you than anywhere else in the world? I'm gonna fly through this crap really quick. Okay. Well, one thing you gotta do, you gotta master active listening. Another thing you gotta do is you have to take notes. And I say take notes. You ask permission to take notes. Giving a good example, I went to a house where I don't even remember what year it was, but I went to a house and I get there. Husband was probably 4 foot tall, a little bitty guy. Wife was there. And I said, ma'am, I drove a long way to get here. If you don't mind before we get started, can I get a drink of water? She said, yeah. I sat down. And I said, so I'll tell you what, just tell me a little bit about yourself and maybe how y'all met, and just, I don't know, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to relax and let you talk. And she goes, well, believe it or not, I own the house across the street as well. And I said, really? She said, yeah. And I met him one day. He was mowing his grass. I said, you got to be kidding me. Was his shirt on or off? And she said, oh, it was off. And I said, oh, wait, crap. This is like a sitcom. Let me sit down here. Let me sit back and watch this sitcom, right? And so as she talks, every time she says something that's important to her, you got to understand that people want to be listened to. They want to talk. And when you do active listening correctly, right, you're not talking. Have you ever caught yourself where, imagine there's an imaginary line between you and the customer's telling a story, and all you're doing is going, I can't wait till she shuts the hell up so I can tell my story. Have you ever found yourself in that position?
Yeah.
Have you? It probably happens every day. I'm going to tell you, don't do it. She doesn't give a crap about your story. So when she's talking, as a matter of fact, I want you to learn just a few of these little words I'm going to give you. And it's called throwing fuel in the fire. Imagine this. The customer's on fire when she's talking about herself or her kids or whatever the hell she talks about. You're going to throw buckets of gasoline on her to keep her burning. And so it would look like this. She said something and you just go, no way. That's going to trigger her to talk more. Something like, my gosh, amazing. You kidding me? These are all fuel in the fire. And so when they start to dwindle down, meaning you throw more fuel in the fire, she now feels better about herself. And if you actually watch, no matter who you do this to, if it's a man or a woman, their eyes will start to water because they can't help it. It's called human nature. And when you see that, you've gotten them. They're now enjoying the experience. And then when you take notes, I want you to pull a pad out or whatever, and you want to ask permission to take notes. And it might look like this. So, Mary, if you don't mind, can I make a few notes? I tend to forget things pretty easily. As a matter of fact, I forget my mother's name if she didn't get remarried, and it was Carol Burnett. And that's a true story. My mother got married, and there's Carol Burnett. But so they're going to say, no, that's fine. Make some notes. And so let's say that she said, I don't know, whatever she was talking about. Let's say that the system, it was getting worse and less efficient and bills going up. I would say, Mary, so if I understand you correctly, what you're telling me is it worked good for 10 years. In the last 2 or 3 years, your bills have been going up. And that's why you're thinking maybe at this point you want to get rid of it. Is that right? Yep, that's right. So, and then I reach down and I make a few notes of that. And as I'm making my notes, as silly as this sounds, I'm going to read them out loud as I'm making the notes. Because now if I write on a piece of paper and I said Mary's system was working 10 years, less efficient. That's why she wanted to get rid of it. Does this customer have any doubt that I'm not listening to her? So at this point, she's going the same thing my wife said. This guy has listened to me more than 5 minutes, and my husband's listened to me in 10 years. And this works with men, or it doesn't matter. So that's the experience piece, active listening. You got to master that. So now let's just go through and say that we give a price, right? And let's say we're back to what we originally talked about, meaning how do we get them to overcome, or let's say if it is price, or let's say we're down to $8,000. I've given you, and you're paying with cash. So how do I overcome this price if it is price, right? You've now acknowledged those first three, or you validated them, and she believes in them, and she basically says it's too much price. Well, let me give you 3 pointers real quick. And you're going to see me, I'm going to talk about this on Leadership Spotlight stage here in March. In order to be truly persuasive, I'm going to go over 5 or 6 things on stage that you got to do. Okay? One of them is likability. People want to be around people that like them. And so, and how do you do that? Well, the easiest way to get somebody to like you is if you have the common goal. If our goal is the same, right? And if our goal is the same, and that goal is a good intentions to the customer, they're automatically going to like you. So imagine if I'm on a call, and I'm doing active listening, and I've got the same goal as the customer. So let me tell you things you have to do on every single call. I want you to use the word help, HELP, at least 5 times a call before you get to price. Okay? Matter of fact, I show up at the door, I knock on the door, I say, hey, my name's Scott Brinkley. I'm here to look at your heat and air system. I'm here just to help you however I can today. Okay? I want you to use the word help, again, at least 5 times on a call before you get to price. I want you to save the customer money 5 times before you get to price. And you might say, well, what the hell does that even look like? Well, let me walk you through. So let's say it's a tech turnover. We get out there, and you and I, you're the customer, I'm me. We're out there looking at your condenser. And let's say the disconnect is in good looking shape. It would look like this. And let's say Jim Hamilton, the great Jim Hamilton, let's say he's my customer. I'm going to say, Jim, normally when I price up a new system, I replace this disconnect box. This is basically a fancy breaker box, right? So I normally replace it when I put a new system in. Now, Jim, your disconnect box here is in really good shape. So if you will allow me permission, Jim, to reuse this, that will save you about $400. So is there any way I can reuse this one, Jim? He's going to say, hell yeah. And so now you help people and you save them money 5 times, I'm telling you, before you get to price. Everything you're doing is in their best interest. So by the time you get to price, it is in their best interest. They've now loved the experience. Price now is in their best interest. You're helping them, right? It's not going to come down to price. And if it is, you've really butchered the shit out of something. Or they got prices from somebody else, and that's okay. The last thing I want you to do 5 times on every single call is in some way, form, or fashion, call them SMART. S-M-A-R-T, SMART. Okay? So, because we tend to go to somebody's house and only give them bad news. And then they actually don't want to even be around us. So, Mark, if every time you saw me, you felt better by being around me, right? And every time, and all my intentions were your best intentions, why would you not love me? And that's the key to this. If you do this correctly, those 3 things, SMART, help, save them money. And now you might say, well, how do you call them SMART? It's simple phrases. Let's say if I'm doing some education on a call, I might say something like this. Mark, I know you already know this, but I'm going to repeat it. Okay? And I'm going to say something. And then if that customer didn't know it, Mark's not going to raise his hand and go, whoa, wait a minute, Scott. I didn't know that. Let me correct you. I didn't know. That ain't going to happen. Mark's going to feel, damn, if you do this enough, he's going to like, this guy, obviously thinks I'm smarter than I am. And it might be that you're looking at some airflow issues, and you say, Mark, as you already know, when a run right here is tied in too close to another, one starves there and one not. Again, I know you already know that, but I'm going to move this over and whatever. But you want to. So does all this make sense before I go further?
Yes.
Okay. So, and again, I've got, and here's what the weird is. I've got 18 closes. I can teach you to close 100% of the calls in every situation. It would take me forever to teach you these 18 closes. So I'm going to send you the process of the wheel. Okay. And then if you do these things I've just told you, people's going to have a great experience, right? They're going to feel great on value. You're doing everything in their best interest. By the time it gets to price, let's say that you butchered it somewhere and you said, Mark, it doesn't make sense to me then. If you feel this is the best thing for you, right? You feel there was a great company, it doesn't make sense to me then. There isn't anything I've done. And you go, no, Scott, it's not you, it's just too much money. Okay. So at this point, I want you to go, Mark, and now again, you got to have them narrowed to one product, and are they cash or payment buyer? So at this point, I'd say, Mark, so if I understand you correctly, you are going to move forward with this. You're saying, but not right now because it's too much money. Is that what you're saying? And he'll go, yep. Okay. So at this point, Mark, how many install crews do you have?
3.
3? Okay.
2. Yeah.
Okay. So do you owe it to those guys to give them a job every single day?
Yes.
Do you do that?
No.
Oh, I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay. This is this next close. And when I first go over this close with you, you might, as an owner, you're probably going to say, holy crap, this is great. As a comfort advisor in the field, you might go, oh, I don't know. And I'll tell you, it if we trained you for 2 weeks, all y'all guys would master it. I don't have 2 weeks. So they've asked me, and I say they, Nexstar asked me to put the paper version so we can actually get more consistent results faster. So I'm going to email you the paper version of this close, but I'm going to walk you through how it works here today. Okay, here's what's funny. If you do everything I asked you to do and it comes down to price, right? And I hope it does. At this point, if you've gone through the other 3 objections, you're first in the door as a comfort advisor. I mean, I don't have any other quotes. When it comes down to price, it's not much. And I'll tell you, the companies I got using this close, they might have a give. I say, mate, their average discounts are $400. But if you don't know how to facilitate it, what happens is you leave, you don't close it. They get a quote from somebody else, and if their quote's $1,000 or $2,000 difference, now you have to really struggle to even get. When you could have just done this close and cut $400 in the door and got the sale. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm going to teach you how to do it on price. But once you learn how to do it on price, you then need to step to learn how to close on value. But you got to understand the steps before you can really do it with value. So here's the way it works. So Mark, if I understand you correctly, you are going to move forward with this project, just not right now because you say it's too much money. Is that what you're saying? He goes, yep. All right. Now I'm going to walk you through the paper version of it. Okay. So the paper version, let me show you. Matter of fact, I'll just pull up one of the companies that's using it and you can see their paper version. So let me get this off my screen here. So it would go like this. So, well, Mark, believe it or not, we have a program for a situation just like this. Okay. And then they pull out this piece of paper I'm about to show you. Now, I don't use the paper version because it would hurt my sales. And well, of course, I wrote the close and I don't need it. So you might have your guys use this until they're comfortable with it, and then they don't need it. I don't really care. I just know that you can roll this out tomorrow and your sales will go up. So let me show you the paper version real quick. Basically, Mark, you say there's a program just like this. So you see it says next availability install program. So the way this works, there's only two reasons in life you can discount and have a credible discount. So let me shrink that so you're not reading it while I'm still talking. There's 2 reasons you can have a credible discount. One is you remove value. So if I take it from a 10-year to a 5-year warranty, that's less value. Therefore, I can remove money, right? I can take an air cleaner off of it if it had one, and that's less money. The only other true discount that you should be able to give in life without losing credibility is if the customer does something for you. So if they truly help you with something, you can help them. Give an example. Some people will allow the customer to get a discount if they put a sign in the front yard. Okay, that means they're helping me with advertising. Therefore, I'm going to help them. So the way this close works is, again, you've narrowed it that it solely is price at this point. All right. So you said, basically, Mark, we have a program just for a situation like this. You pull it out and you say, Mark, now just to let you know, this is a letter that's written by the owner of the company. I'll tell you what, Mark, I'm just going to read it to you. All right. And so you said, basically, it's our next available, like mine would say, next availability slash or next spot slash availability, but it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. Next availability install program. The most important, now, Mark, this is written by the owner of the company. The most important thing I can do as a business owner is to hire and retain the best technicians and team members in the industry. That means it's my job, meaning the owner of the company, right, to ensure that the team has consistent work and well-paying career. As a seasonally driven company, we sometimes have gaps in our schedule. So moments like this, we're prepared to sacrifice on those profits to ensure the employees have a great job to look forward to every day. If you're willing to work with us, Mark, and fill the next availability spot, right, the owner is willing to work with you on the, and I say that, I'm not reading all this to you. The owner is willing to work with you basically on the price, okay, because we want you to feel, so Mark, it's like this. There's an imaginary line between you and the customer. I'm on one side, they're on the other. My job is to get them to pull to our side. I'm constantly trying to get the customer to step on my side, right? If they cannot, or if I cannot, I guess I should say, if I fail and cannot get the customer to come to our side, then I have to realize I screwed something up, and I now need to go to their side. I jump on their side of the imaginary line, and now it's me and the customer, right, against the manager on the other side. And when I say against, it's like this. A perfect sale would be, imagine Mark, you and I are walking, or I'm walking through a mall and I see you and you say, hey Scott, how you doing? I said, man, it's not going good. Why is it not going good? Well, my motor went out. I got to go buy a new car. And you say, well, holy crap, you're not going to believe this. I happen to know Jim Hamilton, who owns some car lots. You may call him and see if he can, help you out. That'd be great. So the comfort advisors in the room, I want you to visualize that you don't work for Burton's. I want you to visualize that you are a liaison when you have to use this close. You are the person who happens to know Burton, right? And you happens to know Mark. And you happen to know the customer, and you're going to go to bat on behalf of them. That's what I want you to do. Visualize, pull yourself out of the sale. And truly, now, Mark, you heard me say 5 times already that I'm here to help you. You remember that? So by the time I get to this close, I'm going to basically look at the customer when I come down to have to use this, and I'm going to say, Mark, so you've read the letter here, basically. It says that he's willing to work with you. Obviously, if you're willing to work with him and fill that next available spot. So, Mark, I don't mind, we'll work through this process. I don't mind doing whatever I can to help you with this, okay? So if you see, when you scroll down, there's 3 things that you have to get before you call the manager. Look, the original price, you just put that in, whatever you quoted. Let's say it was $8,000. Customer requested price, and then agreed upon date. So these last 2, you see these last 2 are the last 2 pieces to the wheel. If you get these last 2, you've got to sell as long as Mark now agrees upon it, or whoever the manager is that they call in agrees upon it. So here's the way this would work. And I'm going to send you all the scripts to this because I don't use the paper version. But I can tell you this, you can roll the paper version out and you'll make a sale on it today, before leaving. So here's what happens. So Mark, right now we're at $8,000, and what the boss is basically saying, if you agree to fill our next spot, it means a lot to him. The guys get to get their hours in, right? And get work. And so therefore he'll actually help you out. So Mark, what do you feel comfortable paying, and then I'll just go to bat for you and see if we can get it done. Well, I don't know, Scott. That's why you're here. That's the very first thing they say. I said, oh, I understand that, Mark, but it's $8,000 is what the price is. So again, I'll go to bat for you. But do you feel comfortable if the boss agrees to $7,800? No, that's still too much money. Okay. What do you thinking? 76? Well, that's better, but that's still too much. I will tell you this. You doing this in the home will always come out with a higher ticket than leaving, not knowing how to close the damn sale, and then calling back and following up. Okay? So just and so again, the average discount for doing this right now is only $400 at not at this shop, at one of the shops. This shop is just rolling it out literally Monday. Okay, but what happens here is notice my words. I'll say, well, I want you to feel comfortable. So do you think, 7,800 would you feel comfortable with that? Nah, that's still too much money. Well, what about 76? I don't mind, Mark. I'll go to bat and see if he'll do it for 76. And they'll say, no, that's better, still not enough. You see, I'm chunking you down in 200 increments. And you might get, well, okay, Mark, well, I mean, surely, listen to my words, surely 7,400 will help. And then if they say no, well, definitely 72. You hear my wording's changed. And when they're going to say, and let's say they say 74, right? I'm going to say, so if I understand you correctly, then I'm going to call my boss, see if he agrees to the 74. And if he does, then you're going to allow us to do the work tomorrow. Yep, that's right. Well, then you just call in and you go through the higher authority close and lock it down. Then the key to this, you'll get to a point you don't even have to use this paper, right? And once you're to that point and you can flow smoothly, then you can learn to do it with value. And that value looks like maybe you're throwing, instead of a 5-year warranty, you're making it a 10. Instead of it coming with a 1-year service agreement, maybe it comes with a 3. Does all that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so this close is called the concession close. But here's what's funny. If they tell you it's price, you cannot go right into this close. Because I'm telling you, the majority of the time they tell you it's price, it's not price. That's why you have to learn the scripts of the wheel. And when y'all go back and listen to this, I want you to take notes. 5 times save money, and just write it all down and start practicing. Guys, you have to make yourself learn to do these things. So you imagine if you love me more than anybody else because you want to be around me, if our interests are both in line with each other, why would they not want to do business with me? Price, I'm telling you, when you do this correctly, is irrelevant. You've all had a price you've written down for a customer, and they said, okay, let's do it. What's different between that one and the ones that didn't want to do it? Well, I'm telling you, it was either urgency was through the roof, 10 degrees, which I don't want you to worry about urgency. If you learn to do what I'm going to show you, it doesn't matter, right? Or they had a better experience. You need to think about that on every call. That's what they pay for, is the experience. Look at it like this. They're paying me $10,000 to walk them through the greatest experience of their life, and the heat and air unit comes free. When you learn to look at it that way, your sales will go through the damn roof. What questions do you have? I know I haven't really gone over any closes with you, just a bunch of things to help you close. What questions do you have?
This is Chris,
Yeah.
Sales manager. What percentage of the time do you find that your sales guys using this particular close when they're having to get to that point? When do you go, this guy, we're needing to work on value. He's not creating enough value because he's going to this too much.
Okay. Here's the thing. When you go to, because I don't really care if they use. Hold on. Let me mute that. I don't really care if he uses this too much. When I say that, I've had guys that use this their entire life and they still close 70%. I don't care if that's the case. I mean, my career, I close 78.8% of all calls. I don't care what they are. I don't care if they're a market lead or not. And if I need to use this, I will. What the key is, you'll learn to use it with value. And so I'll still change the steps though, and I'll actually throw in more value. Like Mark, you do plumbing as well, right?
Yeah.
So imagine if I was a comfort advisor on your call, I work for you, and I've got a job and I quoted it $10,000. I'm just making this up. It's heat and air system. But I also noticed while I was there, your water heater was 9 years old. Well, I might use actually a water heater to get, let's say the customer, I know he's got $10,000. It's not a funds issue. It's a value issue. I can't close him. I might say, well, Mark, let me ask you this. I noticed while I was here, your water heater was 9 years old or 10 years old. You said you're not going anywhere. We know it's going to go bad. What if I'm able to try to get my boss to somehow throw you in a water heater? Not the install of it, but maybe if I can get him to throw in a water heater and you can put it in your garage, and that way when it fails, you'll have one. If I can get him to do that, you think that'll help you out? And you wouldn't believe how many people go, so you're telling me that if I buy the heat and air system, you're going to get your boss to throw in a water heater, not the install. I can't say that, Mark. All I can say is if that makes you feel better with everything, I don't mind to see if I can get that done. So if he agrees to that, will that help you? Well, hell yeah, that'll help me. So you see, that's still the concession close. I'm just not used. So once you figure out the close and you understand how to do it, you will get away from this form. And then you got to learn to do it with value or not. And then, yeah, you can manage individuals based on their. Oh, and the other thing is, too, you have to decide if you're going to do it. So here's the key to this, Chris. So imagine a customer saying no, 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 no. We got to get them saying yes. And so I might get you to lock down at $3,000. You might put on this form, I'm willing to pay $3,000 to do that. Okay? And it's an $8,000 job. That's my job, is to get you to purchase. And I say that to make the decision. It doesn't mean when I call in, my boss is going to accept it. So the way it happens, when you call in, you now went from saying no, 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 no to at least a yes. So I might call in, and let's say Mark goes, well, Scott, I really appreciate, you going to bat for the customer. It's one of the things I like most about you is you truly love them, and you truly want in their best interest. But at this point, Scott, if it's an $8,000 job, knowing you probably already saved the money somewhere else. It's probably a $10,000 job. So if I said that, right, as the manager, and the way I ran my call where I already saved the money, this customer is now going, you know what? He's right. He did save me money. So Scott, unfortunately, I can't do it for $3, right? I mean, obviously that would be really just silly, but I will go ahead and take care of him. So, and maybe he makes a counter offer and says, I'll go ahead and do it for $7. Okay, but Mark, what I need you to, or Scott, what I need you to do is go ahead and, make sure that you put this on the next install sheet. And when you see the customer, truly thank them for me for helping me out. You would not believe how many people go, okay, let's do it. And it's not because of the price, it's because you, the comfort advisor, truly went to bat to help this customer. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So, I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've called or called me to do this, and we either accept it. So, Mark, what happens is y'all either accept it if you can do it at that price to fill that spot, and then you learned how you got to that spot, meaning how did we get to that value we created? We want to learn from these. Or you don't accept it and you make a counteroffer. Now, we'll tell you this, no matter what counteroffer you make, the comfort advisor has to accept it because he's now on the other side of that imaginary line, and he's now the customer, so he can accept it. Do not go, okay, great, let me see what the customer wants to do. It didn't work that way. You're now on that side of the line. You can say, oh, my God, Mark, that's great. It saves us $1,000. Appreciate it. We'll get it taken care of and get it done for tomorrow. And if you truly feel it's a good price, right, the customer will the same as long as you do these other things that I've told you to do. Or the last thing is, let's say they make you an offer of $2. Don't even make a counter offer. Just say, well, Scott, I appreciate you calling in and going to bat for your customer. Obviously, I can't do that. So if the customer truly decides they want to replace it in the future, just tell them to give us a call. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So what questions do we have? And I know we've spent an hour here. And again, I could spend obviously weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks training sales because obviously it's a subject I love. But I think I think it's a lot of information so far. Do you see yourself, does anybody see themselves where they could not present something like this?
I think all our guys could, and I'm really intrigued by this and look forward to putting this together and talking with Mark and Cameron about what this looks like as quick as we can. So.
Okay.
I like specifically how you talked about the tech leading it by 200 and then some of the verbiage you used there. I thought surely this would do it. And so, yeah, it's good stuff, man.
Yeah, definitely. To give you an example, and just to show you when you master this close, and obviously I mastered it because I wrote it, but when you master it, you will be able to close crazily with value and a combination of price. To give an example, so Mark, one of the things your company advisors have to do is call in 100% of the time they don't close and speak to the speak to the sales manager. Whether you use this sheet or not, now I recommend you use it initially. Once they get used to it, they don't leave without speaking to Chris, because Chris now gets to control our schedule. I think you would agree, if we're not booked out for 2 days, we need to sell now. If we're booked out 3 days, then he can say, no, we're not going to move on this one because we got more opportunity. So you have to make sure we understand. We have to call and speak to Chris with the customer before leaving. So I had a sales guy, his name was Shady Grady, and I didn't give him that nickname, but he calls in and says, hey, he calls into his manager, which was named Keith, and he happened to be on vacation at that branch, so they sent him to my cell phone. And so I answered it. He said, hey, Keith, this is Grady. And I said, Grady, this is Scott. What's up? He said, oh. And I said, oh, Keith's on vacation. What can I help you with? He goes, I'm at a customer's house. Just to let you know, they bought the house. It's 2 months old, and they're not buying anything. This is how he called me to convince me that they weren't buying. And I mean, instead of calling, so when y'all call in, you got to remember, we're calling to salvage the job. That's the goal. So great. I said, Grady, all right. I said, so what's going on? He goes, well, he's been here 2 months. He got an estimate on a new system, and the one he likes is $8,200, but he's not buying anything right now, Scott. I said, okay, Grady. As a customer there, so instead of me having to sell the comfort about it, I said, I'm just going to go close the damn thing myself. He goes, yeah, he's right here. You're on speakerphone. I said, sir, let me ask you a question. So is this something you'll get replaced sometime in the future? He goes, well, yeah, I'm just not going to do it right now. I said, but sometime in the future you will, right? He said, yeah. I said, so let me tell you my situation. I went through about my schedule, right? I got an install spot, how much I love my guys. They got to get their hours in. Same thing you see in writing, I just told him literally. And I said, so it would mean a lot to me. If you're really going to get this done, it would mean a lot to me if you could do it on our availability. If you would, I'd be willing to work with you. And he goes, well, Scott, it's not about the money to me. I got the $8,200. It's not about that. And I said, well, I understand that, but let me ask you this. Is there anything inside your house that you need that you don't need? He goes, what do you mean? And now, again, I'm not recommending you do this. I'm just showing you how simple it is to find somebody's breaking point. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, well, for example, you just bought the house. Do all your appliances match? Do you have stainless steel everything and maybe a black stove? He goes, no, it's all stainless steel. And I said, what about, and I'm throwing, I needed an install. I'm throwing darts at a dartboard. And I said, well, okay, well, is there something else you want? And I said, and then he goes, well, I don't know. I said, well, all right, well, how big a property did you buy? He goes, it comes with an acre. I said, does it have any trees on it? He goes, yeah, there's some trees. I said, all right, well, one of those days, those trees are going to fall. When it falls, what are you going to use to cut it up with? He goes, what do you mean? I said, do you have a chainsaw? He goes, no, I don't have a chainsaw. I said, well, let me ask you this. If I was able to have you go to Home Depot's website, pick out the best, most expensive chainsaw you want, right? And if you filled that spot tomorrow, I would have them bring that to your house with them. If I was able to do that, would that help you? The guy goes, yeah, I'm good with that. Now, as silly as this sounds, I'm not telling you to do this, but I'm just showing you. You ready for this? That chainsaw cost me $289. This was an $8,200 sale. We did not discount. So again, 100% of people have a breaking point. This guy, and this is as silly as this is. I'm not telling you to throw in chainsaws by all means. I'm just saying that was a way I gave extra value, and it didn't take much. I could have probably discounted that price $1,000, and he still might not have done it because money wasn't important to him. Does all that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So we're going to end with that. Mark, I'll get this sent to you. And I will tell you, when you master this close, the high authority and the concession, I'm going to send you the true scripts. I'm going to send you this form here. You'll need to create your own, obviously. And And then once y'all use this, and yes, your sales will go up, your closure rate goes up. And in the future, maybe 6 months from today, if you decide that, you want to do a little more training with the guys, we can. Whether it's how do you truly overcome that situation where they want to call the spouse. There's a close for that called the phone close, and you got to do it correctly. There's a close mark that if you have a husband says yeah, wife says no, I can teach you how to overcome that 100% of the time. So I've got all these great information, but I'm telling you, if you just mastered the concession and the high authority, you can pretty much write your own paycheck with that. Okay?
Perfect. That's where we'll start.
All right. Thank you. I'll get this uploaded so you can have a video of it. And Mr. Jim Hamilton, you still there?
Scott, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate your time.
You are more than welcome. All right, y'all take care. Thank you.
And send me these files
Thanks,
too,
Scott.
if you would. I'm building
No,
a
I'm not
Scott
gonna
Brinkley
send them.
mastermind file.
I'm not going to send them to Jim. All right, thank you, gentlemen.
I'm gonna need a career when I retire, dude.
You need a. Did you say you need a career? That's some funny
I got to
crap.
do something. Shit.
Yeah, that's right. All right, I'll see you. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. Bye.